Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, candidates, guests. You're very welcome here today. Before the ceremony commences, we're about to close the Slido feedback app, so if you've not given feedback, please do so now. The formal part of your citizenship ceremony will start shortly and will take about 40 minutes. Attending the ceremony today, we're very pleased to welcome Mr. James Browne, TD, Minister of State at the Department of Justice. I would now ask you all to please switch your phones to silent. Check my own. Okay. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, can you now please all stand as the national colours are now being brought on parade under the command of Captain Dennis Sheehan. Please remain standing for the entrance of the Minister and the Presiding Officer, Judge McMahon. Now, please take your seats. I'd now like to introduce Ms. Elaine Hogan, our harpist. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to present Minister James Browne.
Good morning, everyone. Agus Fáilte Rómh go léir. I'm honoured to join you here today in Killarney to celebrate this very special occasion in your lives. Citizenship ceremonies are a wonderful occasion, and it is great that we can gather here together in person following almost 2 years of the pandemic. It is lovely to see the joy on your faces and your pride at becoming Irish citizens today. An occasion that I hope you can cherish, tell your families about in the future, and remind them of the journey that took you to this point in your lives. I'm delighted to be joined by Judge McMahon as the presiding officer of today's ceremony. He will shortly administer the oath, the declaration of fidelity to our nation and loyalty to our state, officially conferring you with your Irish citizenship. The presence of the Colour Party, under the command of Captain Dennis Sheehan, also underlines the importance of this ceremony and provides a great sense of occasion. I'm sure you enjoyed the first performance from the Army Band today, conducted by Captain Fergal Carroll. The Army Band adds so much to the occasion on what is such a special and indeed a moving day. There is more to look forward to later in the ceremony, including a performance of our national anthem, Aran Naveen. Here in Ireland, traditionally, we have always thought of ourselves as a nation shaped by emigration. One of the things we have learned in Ireland about migration is the extent to which it can shape a nation in different ways. Almost a fifth of the current Irish population was born outside the island of Ireland. Your contribution to the richness and diversity of Irish culture is integral to our development as a nation. And as we celebrate that, we are also celebrating a decade of centenaries here. It is just 100 years since the birth of our country. We are a young nation from which for many years thousands of our people were forced to leave home due to circumstances beyond their control. But they contributed to and helped to shape the countries to which they travelled to, and their influence all over the world is a great source of pride for us. More recently, people from all around the world, like all of you, have arrived here to make Ireland your home. The reasons for doing so differ from person to person. Some are looking for a safe haven. Some wish to live in an inclusive and progressive society. For others, their motivation is simply finding a safe and secure place to put down roots and to raise their families. We welcome you all. In my own family, my uncle Mahmoud Bessa and his friend Mohammed Shagara came to Ireland from Algeria in the 1970s. They settled in Ireland, became Irish citizens and made a good life for themselves and their families, proud of both their Irish and Algerian identities. Sadly, Mohammed passed away last year, and I remember him particularly today. He brought with him his Algerian heritage and culture. This blending of cultures and exposures to different experiences made a strong impression on me growing up and has helped to shape the person I am today. It has instilled in me a strong belief in the value that new citizens bring to Ireland. Ireland has a great culture and tradition of sport and has participated at the highest international levels in the World Cup and the Olympics. Sadly, our soccer team from the men's this year are not in the current World Cup. But maybe among you today, there are people, or your children, that will go on to represent Ireland at the highest level, as many have done in the past for our rugby teams, athletics, boxing and basketball teams. In granting you your citizenship, Ireland has made a commitment to you, a symbolic commitment that resonates with our country's history and with our people at home and abroad. A commitment that you will always have a home here with us. A place where you are accepted, a place where you are valued, and a place where you are celebrated. And granting you your Irish citizenship, it also means that you are a citizen of the European Union, with the right to live and move freely within the EU. It means you can vote in local, national and European elections and have your say in all of the things that affect you and your family. Minister McEntee, who is on maternity leave, has asked me to send her best wishes and congratulations to you all today. When she wrote to you inviting you to attend today's ceremony, she reminded you that becoming an Irish citizen does not mean giving up your identity from your homeland. And I want to say that again to you now here today. We want you to bring your culture, your history and traditions from your homeland with you. By sharing them with us, Ireland is the richer for it. We will add them to our rich history and heritage and traditions, our poetry and our songs, and they will become part of the next chapter in the history of our great state and our wonderful people. The richness of our nation is not measured in the wealth, but in our people. So let's embrace our differences, our diversities, and our similarities, and continue to strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship as Irish citizens. As the old Irish saying goes, Ní ceart go cur le céile. There is strength in unity. On behalf of all your fellow Irish citizens, thank you for choosing Ireland as the home of your heart and of your future. I encourage you to engage fully and actively in all areas of Irish society, and we will support you to realise your full potential. To all of our new citizens, my message to you is simple. Keep being uniquely you. Hold on to your identity, your culture, and the traditions of your homeland. All we ask is that you share them with us. We will add them to the next chapter in the history of our great state and its wonderful people. I now wish to formally introduce Judge McMahon and call upon him to administer the declaration in which you publicly declare your fidelity to our nation and loyalty to our state, as well as undertaking to faithfully observe the laws of the state and respect its democratic values. Thank you, and congratulations, and congratulations.
Good afternoon to you all. Fáilte of Galéransa, and you're very welcome here this afternoon. After that piece of music, I feel very unworthy to come up here and speak. It's such a beautiful piece of music. I think there should probably be an interval about 15 minutes while you assimilate and take on board the beautiful music. It's one of our oldest Irish pieces by a man called Carlton, a harpist from many hundred years ago, and it's called Carlin's Concerto. And doesn't Elaine make a lovely job of it? Let it be an introduction to our music for you. It is a pleasure to assemble here again to celebrate the conferring of citizenship on our newest citizens. In recent years, the world as we know it has changed utterly and profoundly. In 2019, there were some 84 million people displaced across the globe. Last month, the figure exceeded 100 million. This number includes not only those who had to flee their countries, but also those people who have been displaced internally in their own country. However one looks at it, the number is staggering, and I'm sure you as a group appreciate it more than many groups. And the growth rate is alarming, from 84 million to 100 million in 5 years. And behind the dislocation is war, natural disaster, and in some cases, like the Horn of Africa, dare I say it, famine. There have been other events too that must be noted in recent times. First, the recent COVID pandemic has swept across the world, bringing sickness and death in its wake. Inevitably, the health restrictions that followed have limited our freedoms and have confined many of us in ways we had never experienced heretofore. Second, thankfully, there has been a new realization that climate change now represents an imminent existential threat for all humanity, one that can no longer be ignored, one that will affect us all here, but more importantly, that will affect your children and our grandchildren. Finally, the recent invasion of Ukraine and the continuing war there has unleashed military, economic and political shockwaves that continue to reverberate throughout Europe, especially, and the Western world generally. Thankfully, there have been recent developments that suggest that at last the international community is accepting reality and is formulating action plans to address the problem. I can only hope that it's not too late. Daily, we are confronted in our media with scenes of death, destruction, dislocation, and famine that I have never witnessed before in my life. Democracy itself, too, it seems, is being challenged by the emergence of a new type of demagoguery, where personal integrity, morality, and principle are no longer in evidence or required for public office. I refer in particular to developments in the UK and the USA, two traditional bastions of Western democracy. And these developments shake the foundation on which democracy rests, challenges democratic freedoms, and undermines the rule of law as it applies in the Comity of Nations. It is with some regret that today I must refer to these geopolitical events on what should be for you, and I'm sure is for you, a great day of personal achievement. A day when you have reached an important political and social milestone in your journey in your own lives. However, to avert our eyes to these matters on an occasion like this would be unforgivably foolish. And although these matters are of global concern and the solutions may have to be found at a supranational level, they concern us individually too. No man is an island, and no island is an island. It is a time for concern and vigilance. We must all be vigilant in these strange, unusual times. And now for the good news. Shortly, you will have completed the formalities and you will become Irish citizens. And I know for many of you, this is the end of a long wait. And I venture to think it represents an important milestone for you all. For me, it is indeed a singular honour to preside over this ceremony on behalf of the state, and I thank the Minister and the Department for the honour. In a few moments, I will invite you to make your declaration of fidelity to the nation and loyalty to the state. And I will ask you to give your undertaking to faithfully observe the laws of the state and to respect its democratic values. This represents your commitment to uphold and respect the rights, the freedoms, the equality enjoyed by citizens of this nation. And it is your chance to champion the principles of tolerance and respect for other people's beliefs and viewpoints. Principles, I hasten to add, that many men and women have fought and died for. As an Irish citizen, you will have duties, not just to respect the laws and the democratic values of the state, but also, and importantly also, to be an active participant in your community and, in short, to be a good citizen. You can participate in many ways, and any contribution you make will help to enrich us all and will help to make your communities and your country a better place for us now and for our descendants into the future. When the state honours you today by granting you citizenship, it does not require you to forget the country you came from. I look down here and I'm sure there must be over 100 countries represented. 100 different countries, maybe more. Some days when we, over the day, I count up to 3,500 people, there might be 140 countries represented here. That's where you come from. And I'm in awe of the variety and the diversity that are in front of me, and I value it. When the state honours you today by granting you citizenship, it does not require you to forget the country you come from. It does not ask you to erase the memories of your personal and unique history. And when you make your declaration of fidelity to the state in a moment, do not forget your own old country, your own people, your own traditions. We value them. The Minister has given evidence from his own personal family life, and that's why he has succeeded and I haven't. He has had the benefit of foreign exposure. Had I such a daub or an injection of that alien culture or blood, maybe I would have assumed great things in the Department of Justice. Do not forget where you came from. Such memories are not contraband. Bring with you your music, your songs, and your stories. Someday, your children or your children's children will ask you about their grandparents and about the old country. Do not deny them their legacy. It is your responsibility to hand down that part of their story that is to be found in another country. As well as becoming citizens, you must also remember that you have a duty and an obligation to integrate into your new community. And be aware that integration is a two-way process. First of all, it obliges the state, the host state, Ireland, to welcome you and to facilitate your arrival and to facilitate and enable you to grow and develop your talents here in this country. But there is also a reciprocal onus on you to embrace your new community. Do not be afraid. Do not fear the Irish people when they look across and when they particularly ask you where you're from. People get excited about that. They think it's an insult in some countries. But Irish people ask this question 10 times a day for every other Irish person they meet. Where are you from? I'm from Mayo. Where are you from? I'm from Kerry. Where are you from? I'm from Donegal. There is no insult intended. And especially in the early years, do not be defensive on that. People are asking out of curiosity and out of an effort to make connection. There is no ulterior motive in that question. So there is always also an onus on you to integrate. Your children will perhaps lead the way in the integration process. They will attend school. They will make new friends. They will learn new games, and they will learn a new language, the Irish language, which will be hidden from you maybe, unless you embrace it too, but that might be too much to expect in certain cases. But it's there, and it's of value to us. And when the children come home from school with a big white stick, that's not an offensive weapon. You don't have to burn it. That's a hurley. That's to do with the game of hurling, one of our national games. You'll see it on television. So when they say that they want to play hurling or camogie for the girls, encourage them. Go to the matches and make sure they participate. So engage with them, encourage them, and widen your own circle of acquaintances. Remember, we too are an ancient nation with our own music, our own culture, and our own games. Embrace it. Make the effort. The old culture and the new culture can coexist. You do not have to jettison one to accommodate the other. I look forward to the day when one of your children or one of your children's children lead an All-Ireland football or hurling or camogie team onto the All-Ireland pitch in Croke Park on a September Sunday. Or when one of your children or one of your children's children carry the Irish flag at the head of the Irish delegation at the opening of the Olympic Games. I've chosen those examples from sport. In recent years, we have seen the mark that new citizens make on the sporting world, in rowing, in boxing, in athletics especially. But that's only one tiny sphere that you may accommodate or influence. Maybe look at yourself, look at your culture, look at where you come from, and say, I can teach these people a new recipe. Maybe they would like to listen to my music. Maybe they would like to listen to the poetry from Nigeria, from anywhere. You have something different to bring it with pride, and it will be received and accepted with pride. Gently assert yourselves in your new communities, and you will be surprised what welcome you will find there. We are a nation of immigrants. We understand immigration and emigration. Now more than ever, we have sons and daughters spread all over the world. And hopefully, with your efforts and your input, we will rebuild an economy strong enough to accept them all back in the not-too-distant future. Finally, unlike the successful minister who had foreign blood in his lineage. My parents and my grandparents, back to generations, were born in this country, and for the most part, my family lived in this country for centuries. But after this ceremony, I will have no greater legal rights in this community than you will have. Under our Constitution, all citizens are equal. The new are equal to the old. We have no second-class citizens. We have no half citizens. You're a citizen in the fullest sense of the word, and you're entitled to all the protections of the Constitution. I understand that a copy of the Constitution has been given to you as you came in here today. I urge you to read it. Take some time off. It's not a big book. Half of it is in Irish and the other half is in English. If you choose to read the left half page, you will get it in English. Short thing. If you were dropped blindfolded from an airplane into some country that you never visited before, and your eyes were opened and you were in this strange town or city, the first thing you would probably ask for is a map. Give me a map. Show me where I am. What part of the city am I in? What part of the country am I in? You'd orientate yourself. Well, likewise, the second, if not the first, book you should read is the Constitution, because that is the social map, the legal map of the country. There is where you get a description of the political organization that surrounds you, how to vote, who to vote for, where the government, and particularly at Articles 40 and subsequent, the fundamental right provisions which are protected and protect every citizen in the country. You, as well as I, are fully entitled to these protections now. Well, not now, after you make your declaration. Because that is the last task we have to do here. And I now ask all the candidates for citizenship to stand for the declaration, which we will recite one line at a time. This is a big test. The minister is watching. If you don't speak, whisper it loud, and if he doesn't see your mouth and lips moving, he may take back the certificate. He hadn't been known to do it, but you never know these people with foreign blood. It's an important declaration and an important moment for us, and we will try to get it together because it's a sign of solidarity as well as everything else. Now, I am going to lead. I am the conductor. You have a great conductor here for the Army Band, but I am the conductor of this orchestra and chorus. And the first word I will say is I, and then I will pause, and that's a prompt for you to say your name. Your full name as it's written, not your brother's or sister's name, your own name. And some names are longer than others. So we will wait for the long names to finish before we go on to the next word. And the next word is of. And that's a prompt for you to speak your address, your residence in this country. Not where you're going to celebrate tonight, not what hotel in Killarney you're staying, or Limerick, or wherever you're staying, but your residence. And there are long addresses and short addresses. So the short addresses will wait for the long addresses to finish, and then, from then on, we'll be singing from the same hymn sheet. Okay, let's see it. I. Of. Having applied to the Minister for Justice. For a certificate of naturalization. Hereby solemnly declare. My fidelity to the Irish nation. and my loyalty to the state. I undertake to faithfully observe the laws of the state and to respect its democratic values. Cócárdachas, congratulations. You were wonderful. You all passed. Before you resume your seats, when you entered here today, this afternoon, you were maybe from 100 different countries. You're now citizens of one country. I want you to turn to your left and your right and greet your new friend, neighbour, fellow citizen, and wish them well. I now call upon the Minister to close these proceedings. You may resume your seats. Thank you.
So, thank you, everybody. Today marks the end of one journey and the beginning of a new one as Irish citizens. And you can now formally call yourselves Irish, and I just want to welcome you into the broad Irish family, both here in Ireland and all across the world. Congratulations, well done, and enjoy your day. Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please all now stand for the national anthem? Please remain standing as the presiding officer and the minister leave the stage. And remain standing as the national colours are being brought off parade. Now, if you'd like to take your seats, please. Just before we conclude the ceremony, I'd just like to thank Captain Fergal Carroll, conductor and the band of the 1st Brigade, and our harpist Elaine Hogan for their entertainment, and the Defence Forces Colour Party. All that remains now is to congratulate you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And please obey the instructions of the stewards when you're leaving the venue. Thank you very much. Thank you.